valid? So I've got Mary's a cook, that's P. She works in the kitchen, that's Q. Mary's a cook, that's P. And she works in a kitchen, that's Q. This is detachment, right? And P to Q, and then if I separate P period and Q period, I think that is valid. If I switched it and did the converse, it would not be valid. And if I negated it and did the inverse, it would not be valid. So inverse and converse, not valid. But if I just keep it the same, or I switch it and negate it, then it is valid. Converse, I'm going to take the P and put it at the end. So 4 sides go at the end. And I'm going to take the Q and I'm going to put it at the beginning. So if I read my statement, it would be, if the polygon is a quadrilateral, then it has 4 sides. Is that true or false? True. Perfect. And so if I rewrite the biconditional, I want to put P if and only if Q. So I would read that. A polygon has 4 sides if and only if, that if and only if has to come in the middle, then the polygon is a quadrilateral. Polygon has 4 sides if and only if it is a quadrilateral. You guys killed those. This one too, such great work to find the midpoint. What's the formula for midpoint, ladies and gentlemen? Want to find the average, so I do x what? X plus x and divided by 2. And then y plus y and divided by 2. And that should really be a comma, not a parenthesis right there. Sure. Let's see if we can correct that. Boom. So I'm going from A to C, A to C. I've got x and then y and x and then y. So I add my x's, 0 plus 12 divided by 2, and add my y's, 1 plus 4 divided by 2. And I end up with an ordered pair of 6 and 5 halves. And if I plot that, right 6 up 1, 2 and a half, that kind of looks like the midpoint. Always double check that. And if you're given multiple choice answers, open Desmos and plot all your points and see which ones look good and which ones look absolutely crazy. Geometry is one great place to just slash the trash. Lots of good stuff here too. How do we find length? The face. So x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. And what ordered pairs am I using? Victoria's carrying the class today. C and D. So I'm going to do 12 minus 8 because I'm allergic to negatives. I like to keep everything positive. So I'm going to start with that bigger number, which means I have to start with the 4. So 4 minus 1 squared. 12 minus 8 is 4 squared, and 4 minus 1 is 3 squared. So I've got square root of 16 plus 9, which is the same thing as the square root of 25, which equals 5. If you do not like the face, if you would rather do it by graphing, you can 100% do that. Make a right triangle. Boom. So you have to follow those grid lines. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3. 4 squared plus 3 squared equals 5 squared. That's a special right triangle. Hopefully that looks familiar to you. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm so impressed with you guys on this one. Everybody I looked at did the correct thing. You're going to take all those points and you're going to do what to them? Flip and negate. So we are going to flip and negate every single one of those points. Ooh, that's supposed to be a little squiggle. So I get -1, 0, and -4, -4, and -4, -12, and -1, -8. Boom. Okay, they're going to flip across this diagonal line, and my parallelogram is going to be over here somewhere in quadrant 3. Questions on that? All right. Counter example is really a counter. Somebody say conclusion. Conclusion, a counter conclusion. So I need a number divisible by 3. They are all divisible by 3, but I need a number that is not divisible by 6. So is 9 divisible by 6? Boom. Yeah. That's my answer. 18 is divisible by 6, so that doesn't work. And 36 is divisible by 6, so that does not work. I'm looking for a counter conclusion, a counter example. Keep the beginning of the statement, change the end. Okay? I think you guys are going to kill the third part of the test. Remember all of these warm-ups when you're doing that third part of the test. Let me stop sharing for a brief second. I'd like for you guys to meet me on the quiz from yesterday. So I'm going into unit 4, and I'm going into day 3, isosceles and equilateral, and the quiz. So slow today. So I don't want to take a ton of time answering all of these questions, but I do want to go over how to set them up because this unit has been fast and furious. You guys see my screen? Great. How do I set up question 1? How do I solve for x?
40 plus x plus 80 plus 65 equals 120.
So I've got the first angle plus the second angle plus the third angle equals 180 degrees in that whole triangle, right? And we just add them up and solve. What about number 2? Let me redraw this and see if this changes the question at all, because some people get thrown off by that 9x. What if that's just an x there? How do I find that missing angle? In fact, let me make it y, just so that we're not confused by variables. What's the value of y? How would you solve that?
480 minus 65 plus 70.
Excellent. So I'm going to add 65 and 70 and get 135 and then subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 135 is going to give me 45. Do you see that little degree symbol right there? That's your clue that what the test wants is the degrees. It's not asking you what x is. X would equal 5. It's asking you for the number of degrees. So what is the degree measure for that angle right there? 45, that's your answer. So if you put in 5, that's x. And that's why you got that wrong. Okay? X is 5 100% of the time. That's just not what the question is asking. And I agree, it's a very weird question. The reason we intentionally do that is the SOL for geometry has very weird questions. So we're trying to get you practiced at answering the question that's being asked, not what you think has been asked. You need to read super, super carefully. What about question 3? How do I set that equation up? There are a couple equations to choose from.
Would it be 90 plus x, well, the variable first, which is x plus 5, plus 2x minus 2 plus 90 equals 48?
Love that equation. That will work 100% of the time. Anybody else have a different equation they like to do for that kind of question? If I know this angle is 90, what do these two angles have to add up to? What I'm reaching for is x plus 5 plus 2x minus 2 equals 90. The two acute angles in any right triangle have to add up to 90 degrees. So either of these equations are going to work 100% of the time. It's just whatever your brain sees and whatever you think of in that moment. Okay? How about question number 4? Classify the triangle by sides and angles. Click all that apply. Is it equilateral? Yes or no? No. Is it isosceles? Yes or no? Yes. Because I've got those two 59 degrees. Is it scalene? I've got 3 sides that are different. It is not, because I only have 2 sides that are, I have 2 sides that are the same because it's isosceles. Is it right? Is it acute? Yes, it is, for sure. Everything is less than 90 degrees. Is it obtuse? Anything bigger than 90 degrees? Nope. Is it equiangular? Everything's exactly the same. No, it is very close, but it is not. Guys, you got to get both isosceles and acute and nothing else in order to get that question right. It's tough. Classify this triangle by its sides. Is this scalene, obtuse, equilateral, or isosceles? Isosceles, fantastic. And we know that the side DF is congruent to the side DE. Which two angles are congruent? E and F, for sure. E and F are congruent. Okay. What about question 6? What words can I use, or what words can I eliminate? It's not right, for sure. It's not obtuse. Nothing bigger than 90. It's not isosceles. I don't have 2 that are the same. It's definitely not equilateral, because equilateral, everything would be 60, right? So it must be acute. Question 7. What is that missing angle? Is it X or is it 48? If you're not sure, use these tick marks and draw a line through the center of the triangle to the opposite corner. It's almost like you're playing laser tag, okay? You shoot a laser from the corner to the other side or from the side to the corner. Those two things are congruent. So if these blue sides are congruent, then the angles opposite them are here. So what equation would I set up? Two x plus 48 equals what? 180. Okay. The first part of that question, you've got to figure out what that missing angle is. Okay. If I ever give you a triangle with only 2 angles, I need you to figure out what that third angle is immediately. That is the first order of business. What about question 8? What do I know about question 8 that's going to help me here? They are all equal. All the sides are equal and all the angles are equal. So what equation can I set up? And again, there's a couple of choices here. That's a lot of 2x's plus 22s. Equals what? Perfect. I could use distributive property and I could just do 3 2x's plus 22s equal 180. There's one more option, kind of like up here in the right triangle, where we said these two acute angles add up to 90 degrees. So we could simplify our equation with a 90 instead of a 180. What do all the angles of an equilateral triangle have to equal? 60. So could I just do 2x plus 22 equals 60? Yeah. You can do any of those 3 equations Each one of them is going to give you the exact same answer. Again, in geometry, you got to figure out how your brain works and how your brain sees the problems. Not everybody is going to problem solve exactly the same way. Any questions about those, guys? I know that was fast. I'm stopping sharing just so that I can go to the homework. So I'd like for you to meet me on the homework. Don't want to disclose anybody's scores on the way there, so that's why I have to do it this way. Oops, I clicked on the wrong day. So day 3, isosceles, equilateral triangles, homework. I don't want to go through all of them, but I'll be honest, not enough of you did it for me to figure out what the most missed problems were, which makes me very sad as a teacher. Kind of breaks my heart a little bit, in fact. So I will answer, there are 10 questions. I'll answer any 4 of them. So you guys choose which 4 we want to look at.
Can we go over 1 and 7?
We can, 1 and 7. And 3. And then let's save the last one to decide after we've looked at 1, 7, and 3. 6? Okay. We'll look at 1, 7, and 6 and then decide what the next one is going to be. All right. So question number 1 is one of those puzzles. We got to figure out where to start. So you don't have to start at 1. You don't have to start at 2 or 3. You can start wherever your brain goes to first. So anybody have an idea where we want to start? Absolutely. So I have that blue triangle, those 3 angles, the 90, the 43, and angle 1, right? Oh, I should put a plus angle 1. Should equal 180 degrees. So what does angle 1 equal?
47.
47? Everybody agree with that? I don't have a calculator on my person right now.
Yes.
Okay. So now what angle would you go to? Do we have anything that's a straight line? So those 2 angles are on one side of a straight line. So what should they add up to? 180, because they're a linear pair. Okay, so if they're a linear pair, then 180 minus 43 should give me angle 2. So what's angle 2?
137.
Love it. 137. And then how can I get angle 3 if I know angle 2 is 137? That orange triangle, so 12 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 should equal 180. I know that angle 2 is 137 degrees. That's angle 3.
Would it be 31?
I think that looks pretty good to me, yeah. Somebody check the math, because again, I don't have a calculator on me. But yeah, I think that was a good one to go over. Let's look at number 7. So number 7 is similar. We got to go through these one at a time, and we don't have to start at anywhere in particular. This one jumps out at me because it has so many markings on it. So triangle GFB, that's this guy, BFG, big friendly ginger. What kind of triangle is that? The equilateral. So I don't know if that's the one that jumps out at you, but that is definitely the one that jumps out at me. Then I might go to this guy over here because I like right angles. They make me happy. I know that this side was 6 in the equilateral, so this side is 6. So what kind of triangle is that? Maybe this is a crazy question. I feel like CFB, CF, is that even a choice? CFB. Oh, CFB isn't even a choice. What about this guy down here? CFE. Somebody erase this. I hate it when I try to do something and then it doesn't work. So what's CFB, the green triangle, or CFE? If it's a right angle at the top of F, is it a right angle at the bottom of F? They should add up to 180, 90, and 90, right? So if I have a straight line and it's cut with a 90-degree angle, then it's been bisected. I've got 90 degrees on the top and 90 degrees on the bottom. So what kind of triangle is that green triangle? Right scalene. All the sides are different. So BEC, where's BEC? I need a different color. BEC. So BEC is this whole one here. And if I know this is 6 and this is 2, then this whole distance is 8, which is the same as this side. So from B to E equals 8 and BC equals 8. So what kind of triangle is that pink triangle, the BEC triangle? And you definitely had to do some addition there. 6 plus 2 equals 8, and that equals 8. So if I have two sides that are 8, is that acute isosceles or obtuse isosceles? Normally I tell you not to just make assumptions, but here are those all 3 acute angles. 1, 2, and 3. Are they smaller than 90 degrees? I'm thinking this is going to be the acute one, but I want to keep that in my brain to see what the third one is, or the fourth one is. GAF, GAF, GAF. So here I know this was 60 degrees, which means this has to be 120 degrees. So this is definitely obtuse. And the only one with obtuse in it is C. And it definitely takes some thinking, some logic, right? That's a tough question to think through. But that's kind of the process. Let's go look at 6. Oh, 6 is another good one. If you do not have a picture, you need to draw a picture, okay? Illustrate your geometry problems. I know I have triangle ABC, so I'm just going to draw a triangle and label it A, B, and C. I tend to try to draw equilateral triangles. I know they're not always going to be equilateral, but this is just a way for me to get a visual. So the next thing says AC equals CB. So AC is a side. I'm going to label that. And CB is a side. I'm going to label that. What kind of triangle do I have? Because AC equals BC. Isosceles. Okay, so it's an isosceles triangle. Which two angles are going to be congruent in an isosceles triangle? What can I do with those sides that are equal? Can I kind of draw lines through the middle of the triangle to the opposite corners? Those are like those lines of symmetry almost from the last unit. So because this is an isosceles triangle and AC and BC are congruent, then I know A and B are congruent. Angle A is congruent to angle B. So then when I start labeling stuff, I know angle A is 3x plus 8, 3x plus 18, and angle B is 7x minus 58, and angle C is 2x minus 8. So there are two choices for equations here. What are my two choices for equations? I have three angles. So what can I do because of the three angles? Add them all together. So 7x minus 58 plus 2x minus 8 plus 3x plus 18 equals 180. That's a lot of combining like terms, but we can do that. Add up all your x's, add up all your whole numbers, and then solve your equation. Is there an easier equation with fewer variables and things that we could do? What about that isosceles triangle? If we know it's isosceles, what two angles equal each other? A and B, question mark? So can I just do 7x minus 58 equals 3x plus 18? Does that work too? It does 100% of the time. It does not matter which equation you choose. Some people will choose this one and some people will choose this one. Again, it's just however your brain sees it, okay? One of the beautiful things about geometry is you can approach problems in lots of different ways and get the exact same right answer. You just have to go about it logically. So we've talked about 1, we've talked about 6, we've talked about 7. What else can we talk about? Any other ones that were mystifying? The struggle was real. How were the constructions? We get that okay?
Somebody said 3, if I'm not mistaken.
3, excellent. I can't see my chat right now, so I appreciate that. Question 3, if Brad does not add hot sauce to tacos, I hate these where they give you a P with a not in it. So that is P. They will not be spicy. So that's Q. The tacos are not spicy. So that's Q again. Brad's father will not eat them. I haven't seen eat them yet, so that must be R. And again, it has a not in it, but it is R. So which statement has a valid conclusion? Okay, so my 4 ways of doing these, I can do P to Q, that works, right? I can do not P to not Q, and that works. But if I flip them, Q to P, that's not valid because that's the converse. And if I do not P to not Q, that doesn't work because that's the inverse. Okay, so converse and inverse do not work. You can't do that. I'm going to cross off my pink Q's to make my life easier. And I'm going to predict that I either want Brad's does not like hot sauce on his tacos, then his father will not eat them. Or we can switch that and have his father does eat them, then he did put hot sauce on the tacos. So now that I know these are my 2 valid options, I'm going to go through and read them. I don't know if that made any sense, but the other thing that I kind of like to do, because I get lost in all of these words, is I'm going to predict where the P is. Okay, so I'm going to look for the P at the beginning. Do any of them have Brad's does not add hot sauce to the tacos at the beginning? If Brad adds hot sauce, that's not going to work. If Brad does not add hot sauce to the tacos, that's P. Then I'm looking for the R. His father will not eat them. That's the R. I think D is my right answer. But let's look at B and C. If Brad's father eats the tacos, so that's not R, that's this, then Brad added hot sauce to them. He added hot, so this maybe works too. What's the difference between those two? If Brad's father eats the tacos, then he added hot sauce to them. If Brad does not add hot sauce to the tacos, his father will not eat them. I think both B and D work. Does anybody know which one was marked correct? I might have to give you a point back on that one.
You can choose more than one answer.
Ah, so yeah, you need B and D then. And kind of over here on the side, this is why. So the conditional works and the contrapositive works, but the converse and the inverse do not work. And as a math person, not an English person, these problems make me absolutely insane. I'm always so ready to be done with these when we're done with them. Okay. Any other questions? I don't want to rush through, but we have so much that